Most founders who try the import from China and sell the MENA model lose money on their first shipment. Not because the model is broken, they lose money on decisions they didn't know how to check. Today I will walk you through the full operational chain: product selection, suppliers, negotiations, logistics, customs, and margin. I am Roman Verzin. For 10 years I've been running my own businesses across Asia, and two of those businesses matter for today's topic. One is Singapore consumer brand I co-founded. It sells Muslim consumer products sourced from China, Indonesia, and Thailand. The other one is my consulting firm in Hong Kong, where most of our clients are import-export businesses. So I have seen this model from both sides, as an operator and as an advisor. Before we go step by step, let me be honest about who this model is for. You are in the right place if you already sell something. Maybe this is your own online store or social commerce on TikTok or Facebook. Maybe you are a trader who has established clients, or an influencer and you have loyal viewers. Second, you are ready to invest at least $5,000 to $7,000 to do your first test shipment, and you understand that this shipment is a learning phase for you, not the cash out that will make you rich. This is step 0, the foundations. You are in the wrong place if you have no existing clients, nor sales channels, or if you are looking for instant profit with zero investment and without any risk. On paper, the model looks simple. You buy from China and ship to Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Egypt, or any other MENA country, sell through your channel, and keep the margin. 4 steps. The formula itself is simple, but everything in between: product choice, supplier choice, negotiations, logistics, customs, certifications, taxes, is where founders can lose money. Most people pick a product they personally like, and this is fine, but you should also ask yourself several very important questions. Question 1: can you sell this product through your channels that you already have? If the product has real demand in your target audience, then you have already solved the most important question. But if you can't say so, you might end up with the product stuck in your warehouse. Question 2: is competition manageable, or the category is already saturated? You may find the best product that everyone likes, but if the competition is fierce, there is no margin. Question 3: does it require certifications or approvals I need to sort out before the first shipment? Some products in some countries are impossible to operate, or it might require big investment to launch. I'm talking about medications, cosmetics, commodities, and so on. Make sure to check it in your country. And ideally, for the first shipment, keep it simple. Start with MVP, the first version of your product or related product with clear value and no complex certification. The goal for the first shipment is market information. Profit comes later. Step 2: finding suppliers. Once the product is clear, you move to sourcing. Most people start search from Alibaba, Made in China, AI, or a sourcing agent they trust. The reality is this: they are all fine as a starting point. Today, finding suppliers in China is easy, but what isn't easy is finding reliable suppliers who are experienced with your product, who will be ready to invest resources in working with you when you don't have big volume, and who will be ready to find solutions when something goes wrong. Before you pay to anyone, slow down. A few things worth checking. How long the supplier have been in the business? How do they communicate when you ask hard questions? Do they agree to a quality inspection before you release the balance payment? And are they ready to provide you the samples before you invest in the production? Samples are your risk protection. The cost of one sample is nothing compared to the cost of the whole batch you cannot sell. If a supplier pushes you to pay fast or refuses you to inspect the goods before shipment, step back. This supplier will cost you more than any discount they offered. In cross-border trade, reliability beats price. You cannot sue your Chinese factory from the UAE. Well, you can, but the cost of international legal issue is so high that it makes sense only when we talk about millions of dollars, at least. So make sure you choose your supplier not only based on price. Step 3. After samples pass, you negotiate. Whether the conversation happens in WhatsApp, WeChat, email, or whichever channel you're both using, one rule stays the same: get it in writing. Nobody remembers a conversation 6 weeks later when the color is wrong. Minimum items to put in writing: product specification, formula, function, size and so on. Price and minimum order quantity. Payment terms. With China this usually means 30 to 50% deposit and the balance payment before shipment. Production timelines, acceptable defect rates and what is counting as a defect, packaging specifications and Incoterms. Incoterms are the conditions in which you receive your product. For the first shipment, FOB is often the safer choice. That means the supplier handles export procedures and clearance in China, and you keep control over international freight and costs at the destination. Xworks XW works only if you fully understand Chinese export documentation and how the VAT refund operates. Under DAP or DDP, Chinese suppliers may choose shipment channels that aren't considered legal at your destinations, so be careful. When you put all of these details in writing, the document is called the contract, or sometimes invoice when it is a one-time deal, but Chinese prefer to call it a contract. In addition, later you will also need a packing list, pictures of a sample, and sometimes some other documents specific for your specific product. These documents protect you at customs, and they protect you later from the arguments with the supplier if something goes wrong. Step 4. Logistics and the UAE hub. There are 4 options for delivering your goods from China: sea freight, railways, trucks and air. The mix of them is called multimodal shipment. For most shipments between China and MENA, the choice is sea versus air. So sea freight carries heavy or bulky goods at lower cost per unit. Air freight moves lighter cargo, urgent orders, high margin inventory, or anything where shelf life of a sea freight would kill the product. Rail and trucks routes exist from China into parts of Central Asia, but for most MENA countries they aren't practical. The choice depends on urgency, margin, seasonality and volumetric weight. The last one is the one that catches founders off guard sometimes, because 1 kilo by volume costs more than 1 kilo by actual weight. So check the rules for your lane before you run the numbers. The common routing pattern for MENA is this. You ship from China into the UAE, then redistribute it from the UAE into the rest of the region. The UAE serves as a hub for a few reasons. The logistics infrastructure there is purpose-built for regional re-export. Free zones let you handle the goods without committing to import duties and taxes until the last moment, and customs services across MENA are used to UAE paperwork, which tends to reduce inspections delays at your real destination country. Most of what can go wrong in international logistics is beyond your control. I have seen crazy cases. The shipment may be delayed for a number of reasons. The goods can be damaged when loading, get wet during transportation, or fall down and break during unloading. Chinese can secretly put gifts inside the container, and you will not know that until the customs accuse you of smuggling 2 bottles of Chinese alcohol. We even had a case where goods were stolen at customs. So international logistics is messy, but the part you do control is everything before your shipment. First, run a quality inspection of the goods before the balance payment. You can organize a third-party inspector to physically come and check your goods before payment, so that you can make sure that your goods are fine. You can organize an inspector to check your goods while loading them into the container on the Chinese side. That way you can make sure that your supplier used the proper export packaging and the goods were in perfect condition when you handled them to your logistics provider. Make sure that you or your logistics provider buys the freight insurance. I have personally seen how this small money can save the company from bankruptcy if something goes wrong with the delivery. And get the customs broker at your destination to review all your documents before the container loads, so you know that all your paperwork will clear smoothly. Step 5. Customs and certifications. This section gets underestimated more than any other in this chain. Depending on the product and the destination country, you may need conformity and testing certificates, product registration at your local standards authority, battery transport compliance for electronics, or halal certification for anything in the body care or food category. Compliance sometimes can cost more than the product itself. And also, in many GCC countries, certification is tied to the importer of record, not just the product. So your product can be perfectly compliant in principle and still get stuck at the port because the entity importing it does not have the required certification. So without the proper local entity or distribution partner that already set up for the category, some goods simply cannot clear the customs. Verify this before the shipment and ideally before you pay the deposit to start manufacturing. You don't want to get in the situation when your container is on the water but you don't know how to import it. And you don't want to get into the situation when importing your goods from China requires some extra taxes like anti-dumping or import duty that you didn't count on. So make sure to check everything with an import agent in your country. Step 6. Margins. Before you commit to start the project, run one final calculations. Your full landed costs include the product FOB cost, product quality check, international shipping and insurance, certification costs, import duties and taxes, import agent fees, storage and fulfillment at your destination if you need it, and the marketing costs that it takes to sell the product. All of it you better count before you launch the production, not after the goods arrive. Sometimes you can see the market price unreasonably high and think this is an opportunity. But once you count all the costs involved, especially taxes and certification costs, it can start to make sense. One piece I deliberately skipped today, the payment side. Moving money from MENA to your Chinese supplier's account and back if something goes wrong is a big conversation. The rules shift depending on your location, passport, existing banking setup, the specific Chinese counterparty, and which currencies you need to move and in which direction. We will cover that in its own video, or if your setup is in Hong Kong and China, feel free to check our existing videos. So, importing from China and selling into MENA or any other region is a real operational business. It rewards you when you do it with preparation, when you understand details of each step, run the calculations and walk away from suppliers with red flags. When you approach this systematically, the model scales. I say in my videos that there is always a door to global business for everyone. What I mean is that no matter where are you from or what challenges you might face in your home country, doing business with China and globally is possible. I'm saying that as a Russian entrepreneur doing international business, and as you guess, because of geopolitical risks of my passport, I faced mountains of problems. What we do is incorporation, banking and business support in Hong Kong, China and Singapore. So if you are on the stage when you need an entity to do that, or if you faced banking rejections or any other problems that may seem unsolvable, our details are below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.